What's going on, everybody? And welcome back to Adrian's Unnecessary Clap. We are Horror Nights Unscripted. My name is Scott from SoCal Exploring.
I'm Michael from Hallowed Thrills.
And I am Adrian from LoshTV.
And we're back from the dead, everybody.
It's your
Woohoo.
boys.
We've been
The
too busy
boys
in Florida.
are back in town.
And I'm excited for this return. Because despite all the scheduling issues and despite us all being super busy not being able to film, we're still keeping it going with Horror Nights Unscripted. What is it like? 1 o'clock in the morning over there?
It is 1 a.m. right
Yes.
now. We love you
And
guys.
yes, even though it's like late for you guys, it's still kind of late for me. It's 10 o'clock as we're filming this. So, yeah, we're
10
taking a
o'clock
pause.
California time's late.
We're taking a pause on creating HHN to bring you. There's quite a bit of things that we need to talk about regarding HHN Light and Beetlejuice and all that other stuff for next year.
You mean
So we need to do
29.5?
kind of a recap episode, you know how it be. But we're back, guys. We're back and better than ever. And we got some good stuff for you planned. And I promise you that we will stop slacking on these videos. But, we're all hanging out. The boys are hanging out together. If you want to check out those vlogs, go check them out. Links in the description.
We
We're
did
all
haunts
together. We did a petrified forest.
We did a petrified
Yeah,
forest.
a little bit of spice of everything,
Yeah.
If you guys are listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts at, make sure to check out the visual version, youtube.com/SoCalExploring or youtube.com/LoshTV, so you can check out our beautiful faces. Where can they find our Instagram at, boys?
And we have our Horror Nights Unscripted Instagram.
Oh yeah, you guys can find all of our personal stuff down below, but we got to talk about our Horror Nights Unscripted.
We now have an official Instagram and Twitter. It's Horror Nights Unscripted on Instagram, and then on Twitter it's HHN Unscripted, if I'm not mistaken. So if you guys haven't followed us yet, go ahead and follow us, because we're trying to interact with all of you guys and just have fun conversations.
Yeah,
So,
and guys,
do it.
buy the merch.
Buy the merch!
Our merch stores? Oh, so we have... Well, so we're going to plug me first, because yeah.
Because stay hallowed, that's why.
Because stay hallowed. You got the Hallowed Thrills merch store on TeePublic. You got the Lost Shop on TeePublic, and then you also have SoCal Exploring Shop on TeePublic.
Which will all be linked down below
I
in
don't
the
think so.
description. It's not. It's just SoCal Exploring since the name's so
It's
long.
SoCal Shops, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, right.
SoCal Shops.
But for real, the links are down below in the description if you're watching on YouTube. And if you want to find the links, then just come over to the YouTube version and click them. But we do have Horror Nights Unscripted merchandise, so check that out. We've been having lots of sales on the TeePublic sites, all of our TeePublic sites where you can buy $13 shirts. So I highly suggest checking it out. But let's get into the episode, boys.
Wait, before we start, don't forget to smash that like button.
Oh, God. Okay.
Smash that like button!
Losh is putting a thumbs up emoji on the screen.
If you guys can't see it.
Guys, something that I didn't get to do, but you did get to do, was Beetlejuice. Now,
Beetlejuice?
initial thoughts on it, right off the bat, we'll start with Michael.
That juice, man.
Small review on it, Michael, and then we'll dive deep into it.
Spoilers or no spoilers?
No, yeah, okay, spoiler warning. There's spoiler warnings in this, so.
So, spoiler warning. All right. So, I thought, compared to everybody else and what they were saying about this, I thought it was grossly overhyped. I didn't think that it was as good as people were saying it was. And honestly, personally, in my own personal opinion, I thought it wasn't even the best house at this year's mini event. I mean, it wasn't. It was good. It was good. Don't get me wrong. It was better than if we're comparing it to the recent trend of like
IPs?
like funny based like horror movies that they've been doing, including Ghostbusters. I thought Beetlejuice was better than Ghostbusters. But they did have some really good scenes in it. Like it followed the movie really well. I was impressed on how well it followed the movie. But probably the coolest part of the house, but also probably the most disappointing part, was the sandworm room. I loved the puppet. I love me a good puppet. The sandworm puppet was absolutely fantastic, but the room it was in seemed like a second thought. It was your it was just it seemed like they were like, okay, if we have time when we need to open this house, if we have time to finish this room, we'll theme it. If not, it's just going to be black walls, and we'll put a fucking light on the sandworm, and then that's it. We'll call it a day. And that's pretty much what it was. I guess they didn't have time to finish the room, or at least I hope they were planning on doing something more with it and just didn't have time. But I don't know. I mean, the scare actors absolutely killed it in that house. Lydia, 10 out of 10. The Juice Man.
I'm strange and unusual.
Yes, the Juice Man did fantastic.
The Juice Men.
The Juice Men.
What about you,
Yes.
Adrian? What'd you think?
Me?
'Cause I know you
Okay.
have a way different opinion than both.
Completely
Michael and I.
opposite. My least favorite room was the sandworm room. However, it looked really nice. But if you didn't walk through at the right time, it was the worst thing in the room. Like, you either walked in before it or after it when I walked through this house. Because I heard the thing going off, I'm like, oh, this sounds amazing! And then I'm under it, and then you just see lights. Like, alright, whatever. But the fact that the moment you walk into the parade building, you have Beetlejuice on a live mic, basically being like a Chucky's Insult Emporium for you guys in Hollywood, or the Chucky Scare Zone for us last year. It was, not last year, 2 years ago. I'm sorry, I apologize. It's been so long. It felt nice to have that interaction with Beetlejuice so that it'll prepare you for the house. And then you walk straight into a tunnel, which we haven't seen a tunnel in a house since, if you guys don't know tunnel, the big spinny rooms that you usually see in 3D houses. So, we haven't seen a tunnel since 2015, if I'm not mistaken, and that was in Asylum in Wonderland. And the fact that I got to walk through one again was amazing. To me, what Beetlejuice felt like was a 3D house without the 3D. And I honestly fell in love with it. Now, I can see where some people say they don't like it. Like Michael, for example, saying he didn't like it. I understand it. I respect it. I feel like, my personal opinion, this house was better than the other two houses. Based on the walkthroughs I had of it. I feel like the two walkthroughs I had were almost perfect, except for the big sand serpent, sandworm room. And then, you went the second day, right? On November 1st?
Yeah.
So you had the final scare.
Final scare with just Beetlejuice,
Beetlejuice
just
at the end.
Yeah.
That wasn't there the first day. So that it kind of felt lackluster. Like the first time I walked through, I was like, damn, there should be a final scare here. There's set up for it, but there's nothing here. And then when I got to walk through it, I was like, alright, there he is. But
I think one of the big things is, right, because I watched the illegal walkthroughs that we don't condone at all. Just obviously, like, I couldn't walk through. I couldn't afford to go out there for a couple more days and walk through it. So I had to settle for the next best thing, which is the walkthroughs, which weren't really that good at all either. But at least I got a taste of it. Now, I think that my takeaway from it is that it follows the movie perfectly, right? It has everything in the movie. It just doesn't feel like it. It doesn't have a scare aspect to it. I don't know. That's just I can't really talk on it because I didn't walk through it and I didn't get the scares. But to me, it just didn't look like there was a lot of scares, and it looked a little bit more disappointing than I thought it was going to be. Now we'll see how it comes out next year, hopefully, which we'll talk about that right now, the potential of it coming back next year and why they opened it. But I'm going to say this, and I think that a couple people were saying this. I think this is a Killer Clown situation where Hollywood's going to execute it a little bit better. That's just my opinion. But that's coming from a Hollywood person, so.
In all honesty, I have a better time comparing this to Killer Clowns than I do of Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
I thought about that.
Yeah.
I was like, this is more along the lines of Killer Clowns level of execution.
Yeah.
It's nowhere like it's so much different and better than Ghostbusters, at least in my personal opinion, because I didn't enjoy the Ghostbusters house last year.
Well, I'd say Ghostbusters on both of the coasts kind of failed a little bit.
But like, yeah, it's more on the level of just detail and storytelling of the Killer Clowns house from last year.
Before we move on about Beetlejuice, I know we're going to talk about it later as well. I just want to talk about the Lost Souls room as well. Like, the Lost Souls room is
Yeah, that was an interesting room.
Without plexiglass,
Oh yeah,
that room,
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
Yeah.
To me, I could be wrong. I've said this to like a bunch of people, but those masks look a lot like the masks from Dead Exposure with the black light.
See, I don't remember much from Dead Exposure because I only went through it like
You just remember the
once
monkeys.
because it was terrifying.
Oh man, this is where the talk gets juicy. Universal, you guys are. Whew, here we go. So, I want to get into why exactly they opened this, right? Because there was
Why?
rumors, and wasn't gonna believe until they actually announced it. First of all, they opened the house with no announcement, no official announcement at all. What went on behind the scenes? Do you guys think it was the narrative of Warner Brothers was forcing them to open it, or do you think it's something else?
Yeah, no, I definitely think that Warner Brothers was like, "Hey, if you want this to come back next year, it needs to open this year."
I think, I think they're trying to please Warner Brothers into allowing them to get bigger properties. So Warner Brothers was like, let me test this. They're like, if you guys open this house for this many days, we'll give you Beetlejuice next year, and maybe in the future we can give you more properties. Like, this is the way we could possibly see The Conjuring, or things like Gremlins or Sabrina,
Or
which are things
or
that were
it.
rumored. Or It, exactly. Things like that, things of that
Screw
nature.
it.
I mean, I feel like it can work in a house, but we're not talking about potential future things or things that can be good and bad.
Anytime anyone brings up it at HHN, I will always shoot it down. I'm sorry.
But yeah, I just
Why?
think it's good. I just think this is just leading towards us getting more Warner Brothers properties down the
No,
road.
I agree with you. I 100%
Yeah.
agree with you on that because I think that the relationship between Universal and Warner Brothers is really bad. They are able to strike deals because they know how big Halloween Horror Nights is, but I think especially in Hollywood too, the relationship there, since they're literally 5 minutes apart from each other, Warner Brothers Studios and Universal Studios Hollywood, I think the relationship is really, really bad. So I think this is a perfect way to kind of, especially opening the tribute store room. I
Oh
think it's a
yeah.
perfect way. But it could also be the way that everyone's saying, Warner Brothers kind of forced them if they want it back next year. But now that for the most part, everyone's seen it, like walkthroughs or whatever, or been through it, now begs the question, how is marketing going to go for next year for both Hollywood and Orlando? Now, there's still that potential that Hollywood's event is still up in like question with COVID going on and everything. It seems like nothing's getting better. Oh God,
English.
it seems like Hollywood is in danger again. But we're just gonna have to wait and see.
Yeah.
I think marketing's definitely gonna be an interesting thing. Do you guys think that tribute store room will change next year?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you think so?
Okay. I
The big
wouldn't have
IP will
believed.
go there.
I wouldn't have believed so. Like, I wouldn't believe that the tribute store would have changed at all if it weren't for the fact that we're opening this Christmas tribute store.
Yeah.
Holiday. Sorry, it's not.
Well, and the way that they did HHN Light too. I feel like this is like they're gonna have a new tribute store for sure.
That literally it paid to everything except for the icons. Cause we didn't get the icons in a house, but that was kind of pleasing the fans.
They may keep the icon room.
So maybe they'll bring back like the facade for 25 years, and make that the front of the tribute store. Like have Jack's face be the front.
I was
Something along that line of
thinking.
that.
I have a feeling they'll probably move around the order of the tribute store.
Okay.
I have a feeling they would probably end up putting icons last next year. It was the
Yeah.
last room.
Yeah.
Or
And
maybe
just
they'll
make
dedicate
it
a room
bigger
to
and
the
like
Pumpkin
add a couple
Lord.
things to it.
That's
Yeah.
still happening.
Huh?
The Pumpkin Lord, dedicate a room
Yeah.
to the Pumpkin Lord instead of like, let's say we don't get the brides back.
Yeah.
We
Maybe
got a room
put
dedicated to
Pumpkin Lord
Lord.
first. Pumpkin Lord first. Beetlejuice second.
Or maybe a room
Icons
dedicated
last.
to Cary, Ohio.
Maybe.
I don't think there'll be a Beetlejuice room. I think they'll just have the Beetlejuice house. I think it'll be one of those things that's like, hey, you guys missed the ghost with the most. Here he is again, coming back.
Yeah.
So that's how I think it's gonna go for advertising.
Yeah, I don't know. Because they're that if they don't advertise Beetlejuice as like the big property this year, that means they're gonna need to get another
They need
big
to get a
property
good one.
unless they
Halloween.
decide to
Mm-hmm.
please, but
2018.
unless they decide to once again push the icons as the as the main advertising point. Unless they decided to go that route instead of an IP route for advertising.
I feel
That
like
could
they
be the
have to for
only-
30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
They'll
I think that
really.
was their initial plan this year.
So hear me out. I have this idea for a commercial, right? I was talking to Lexi about it. So, the guy that played Jack, James Keaton, if you guys don't know, has also played Beetlejuice in the park. He was on a live mic during the event. What if they have a commercial where they have Jack talking to Beetlejuice, but it's just the same guy talking to the same guy?
What I want to know is what is going to happen to that rumored commercial that they worked on that people were talking about, where he was in
prison.
Yeah, where he's in the prison. You had the bent neck lady in a cell. You had Beetlejuice in a cell. You had Jack walking through.
So you're saying there's a chance to have Jack and Beetlejuice in a commercial together?
Oh yeah, but like
Same
I want to know what.
Same actor?
I mean, sure, why not? But like,
There you go.
I want to know what happened to that commercial, because that commercial was filmed, wasn't it?
It might still release, but next year they
I
can
don't
just
know. I
throw a
don't think we'll
different.
get Haunting of Hill House.
That's another thing. Yeah, I don't think Hill House is gonna come back because maybe Stranger Things could be out by then.
Speaking of houses next year, recently a Peacock TV exclusive released a behind the scenes of Halloween Horror Nights, which showcased Puppet Theater, captive audience, a brand new house coming to Halloween Horror Nights 30 in 2021. I watched the exclusive. We all watched the exclusive.
Peacock exclusive.
It is a Peacock exclusive.
Not
It's
not
on
anymore.
YouTube.
It's
Oh,
on YouTube.
oh yeah.
Universal
It
posted
got
it on
leaked on
YouTube.
YouTube.
Yeah,
so-
okay, so it got leaked on Peacock,
No,
and now it's
Universal
on
posted
YouTube.
it.
I know, leaked on Peacock and then posted on YouTube. That's
First of
what
all, I just want to say I think that they only released it on YouTube because it got leaked. I think they were
for sure.
waiting to put it somewhere else.
I'm pretty
but-
sure what was supposed to happen is they were gonna post it like the last night of HHN Light, like
That would've
or,
been
that,
smarter.
or the Monday after. The Monday.
But
after.
see, I think that would have been smart, but I think it's going to come later.
I was
Maybe.
expecting like late January, maybe early February.
Get
That's
start
when we're
the
gonna get
hype for
episode
the
2, man.
event. But speaking of, obviously we have kind of our first house announcement. What do you guys think of Puppet Theater captive audience?
You want to go first? Because I have a lot to say about this house.
Yeah, I do too.
Well,
I have quite a bit to say.
I don't have a lot to say about this house. I personally think I'm actually really excited for this house because it reminds me of the one that I was already creating for
Yeah, for
our
creating
own-
HHN.
for Halloween.
creating HHN.
A little
So
sneak
just to let you
peek.
guys know, before we get to that episode, which will be our next episode, hopefully, he came up with this idea way before we knew this.
Yeah.
Just letting you know.
Way before.
Way before.
We came up with creating HHN literally like a month and a half ago. We just haven't actually filmed the Hollywood version yet. So, but
Yeah,
we'll
we
get
have-
into that in the next
yeah.
episode.
So like I mean that's something that I wanted to see at the event to begin with, which is why I created it. And now seeing that this house actually kind of exists, like they're kind of slightly similar. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I like this. I'm
I like
interested
it a
in this.
lot.
I like it a lot.
I like it a lot.
So I'm really excited to see that house and how it turns out. Just the short little video that we got, it really, like, I really can't wait to see how it worked, because the main thing that I took away from it was this was a sprung tent house.
Mm-hmm.
This was rumored as a sprung tent house.
That's in a sprung tent.
Yet, from the video, it looks like this. It doesn't look like you're in a sprung tent house. It
looks
looks
like a
really
parade.
like wide open. It looks like really detailed. This like the seat, like the height of the house looks really.
I've
tall.
never
It
been
just
in a
looks-
sprung
doesn't-
tent, but it doesn't look like a sprung tent house.
It could be. It could have been in
doesn't.
the parade. It could have been in the parade building.
It looks like a
honestly.
parade building. From what
It
I
could
saw
have been
from
in the parade
Beetlejuice, it looks
building.
like a parade
Yeah,
building.
it looks like the parade
Could've
building,
been
but
in
at
the
the same
parade building.
time, that would be. I don't know. That just seems really weird.
Well, if it was in a soundstage, it would have been in soundstage where Brides was on the opposite side, because
Yeah.
they only had 23 A and B and 24 A and B for sound stages this year, permits wise.
Yeah.
And they had the 2 parade buildings, the two sprung tents, and then the MIB tent and Shrek. But we know what happened there. They buried a friend. But anyways, I still think it's supposed to be in a sprung tent.
Oh no, man, that just looks really.
Did you go through Scarecrow?
No.
Oh.
I regret it till this day.
So Scarecrow had some sets that were. If you watch the video for it, it doesn't look like it's a sprung tent house, and that happened with a lot of houses. So what people fail to realize is that the sprung tents are pretty high. Now the sets aren't going to be as grand as they would be for a parade building or for a soundstage.
Well, with that being said, from what you've seen from the actual YouTube video, how do you think how big the sets actually are? Because they look pretty big in there.
It looks big, but that could also be the angle of the camera. It could be a lot of stuff put in there.
I don't know. Yeah,
it can either be in a parade building, which would be 79. The one, not 79. The one with the super long name. I think it's like 109B or something like that. That one.
But my thought is,
which is where they had monsters and seeds.
It would make sense if it was in the parade building, but at the same time, it also wouldn't, because they'd have to remove that. They'd have to remove that entire house. So why would they release it? I mean, well, no, wait, then it would make sense, because
unless the rumors just weren't true.
If it's in the parade building, they'd have to remove everything.
The parade building house supposedly already got taken down. The one, not Beetlejuice, the one across from it.
Yeah.
That one, that was Haunting of Hill House on the rumor map, already got taken down. So it can't be that unless they recorded before they took it down.
Yeah, that's my only thought. Like,
because
if you go about the route like thinking, oh, it can't be in the parade building, because then why would they show us it if it's getting taken down? But then you think about it and they're like, well, maybe it could be in the parade building because they ended up showing it to us, so it's not going to be exactly the same next year. They might change it up a bit, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be.
Well, what did you think of the actual house concept, Losh?
So I love it because it reminds me of one of my all-time favorite houses, which was Dollhouse of the Damned. Now it's not.
Okay, see, that's why I did like this concept a lot, is because it reminds me of one of my favorite mazes at Not Scary Farm, Doll Factory.
Oh, Pinocchio! You didn't like Pinocchio?
No, I love Pinocchio. It's just like Doll Factory. That's what the vibe that I get from it.
I respect it. But I love all the not puppets, but like the masks they showed us, and some of the puppets they have for said masks. How some people have just like hand puppets that are masks, and then the sets.
Okay, really interesting. The hand puppet mask.
Yeah,
like the emotional values mask.
Dude, the one that's like drama. What was it? Happy, sad, and then horror. I was like, chef kisses. I mean, I feel like this is gonna be a solid contender for maybe a top 3 house next year. Really?
Scott doesn't like it. Scott doesn't like it.
I know he doesn't like it, but dude.
I like Puppet Theater. I think it's gonna be a good house. I just don't think it's gonna be at the top. I just think with the lineup next year, from what we've seen, think of like when we've seen what we saw,
5, maybe.
When we saw walking into Tooth Fairy from the icon. I think top 20 for sure, actually. No, I see. I never said first initial thought from it. I was like, okay, this house is gonna be okay, but after watching it and studying it a little more, yes, I think the house is going to be good. I just don't think it's going to be a top 3 house. What I like about this house, and I said this in my separate video, what I like is it feels more like a traditional Haunts house compared to a Halloween Horror Nights house. That's what I like about it the most. And
I like how they're creating the story with the red curtain.
The what?
The red curtain.
Oh, the red curtain, yeah.
It's basically how they're saying it's basically its own character, so it's going to be around the whole house.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, in the shadow, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's like,
okay. I'm really excited to see.
I'm a man that loves a good story through a house, you know.
I want to see the more story development around the character in the shadow. I'm excited to see that.
The Shadow Man,
but I mean, it kind of reminds me. The whole concept kind of reminds me of like Kino from Zombies from Call of Duty. The fucking the theater, the decrepit theater. I love it. I love it, man. We love
Also,
a good.
a lot of people have been comparing this to like Dead Silence. I didn't get to experience that house.
Dead
The Curse of
Silence.
Mary Shaw. Dead Silence. The movie.
I don't even know what this house is. Little Hollywood boy over here. But you
Please,
know, one thing.
Please watch this walkthrough after this
Okay,
video. And if
we'll-
you guys
we'll-
watching this haven't seen it, watch this walkthrough.
You sound like you're crying, like it's that good.
Okay.
It's a good house.
Okay.
All right, cool. All right.
From what I've heard.
But you know, one thing that I got to do, finally, was walk through
What'd you do?
Horror Nights Orlando house. With, like I said, if you guys haven't seen those vlogs, go check them out, because I finally got to walk through an HHN Orlando house with my boys from Horror Nights Unscripted. I see
That's
that
nice.
thumb. I see that thumb emoji. So that brings us into our next topic. HHN or Halloween or Universal Orlando Resort opened up The Bride of Frankenstein Lives, and Revenge of the Tooth Fairy. Two completely different houses, and I really want to dive deep into both of these houses since I actually got to walk through it and not watch a walkthrough for them. All right, I'm going to start this one off because I
James
feel
West
very
wants to
passionate about both these houses.
What?
The Bride of Frankenstein, I call it The Brides because it's like they have the Bride of Frankenstein and Dracula's bride in there. So I always say, The Brides. The Brides, the first day that we walked through them, I was like, okay, yeah, I like it better than Revenge of the Tooth Fairy. And Michael was like, oh no, I like Revenge of the Tooth Fairy better. I was like, Michael, you're stupid. But then the second day walking through, I was like, I like Revenge of the Tooth Fairy better. And here's why. Revenge of the Tooth Fairy, super dark, super twisted. The scare actors brought that house together so good. They brought it to life. Amazing. The facade is beautiful. The way that they crafted the facade was beautiful. And the narration throughout the house made it feel like a demented Dr. Seuss story, which I really loved, especially the ending scene going through like the laundry room / bathroom scene. And there was a scare from each side and everything. Really, really like that. The Bride of Frankenstein Lives. I enjoyed the storyline. However, I just got more scared in Revenge of the Tooth Fairy. So I feel like set-wise, they're both kind of even. But I just got more scared in Revenge of the Tooth Fairy. And I think that's why I picked it over The Bride of Frankenstein Lives. I'll send it off to you, Michael.
All right. Well, similar to Scott, the entirety of the event, I was completely backing Revenge of the Tooth Fairy as my favorite house out of the between the two, and still also including Beetlejuice. I still think Revenge of the Tooth Fairy is better. But anyways, because I contrary to what other people like to think about HHN, they go for the story, they go for the set pieces, and I'm like, I'm a loser. I go for the fucking scares because I like to go. I like to be scared. That's what I go to a horror event
I go for
for.
everything. I
I
think
go for
that's why I
everything,
had.
but if it doesn't have scares,
No,
why
but
is it
that's why
there?
I think I had such a problem with Beetlejuice, is because I go for everything. I get how HHN is. If I'm going to go for the scares, I'm going to go to a traditional haunt. But that's why I was like, okay, Beetlejuice has the sets and everything, but not the scares. But
Exactly.
yeah, that's why.
Like,
I know, Adrian. I know you're waiting to tell us how shitty the Tooth Fairy is to you.
Actually,
no, I'm not done yet though.
Okay,
I'm not
Michael.
done yet.
Michael
hold on.
is still
I'm gonna let
pleading
you
his-
finish, but no, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
But anyways, yeah. So the fairy jubilee at the end.
Yes.
I really hope that Tooth Fairy comes back next year, and I hope that they have less restrictions when it comes to COVID by that time, if it does come back. If they don't loosen up restrictions for houses when it comes to COVID for next year, then I don't want to see it come back, because I don't want the house to be exactly
This
the same.
house without plexiglass would be incredible.
great
It
house.
would be fantastic.
I think that goes for all three houses, though. Being honest.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But
There's just
But
and
with-
there's so many jump scares in Tooth Fairy that could be done without plexiglass.
but on top of it, there's so many missing spots
Yeah.
that didn't have scares in it, because they did either one, couldn't put plexiglass in there, or two, there was just too many scares close together.
Well, that's
so
what
they
I was
couldn't
saying.
have-
You could see walking through it, like the doors that would usually be a jump scare.
Yeah, like the fairy jubilee at the very end.
when it comes to Orlando, a lot of those door scares aren't door scares.
This is true.
Those are
They're
cast
there.
changes. They're for cast changes.
I know those are cast changes, but there's some clear as day that there's not even a character around that like you can tell that those.
Oh, you mean like a hole? Like a hole?
Yeah, like a boo hole or
Yeah.
I don't specifically mean the doors like you typically see for a cast change. I'd mean like like the boo holes and the little like slivers where like there could be a character right there.
Yeah, but like
Why is
Fairy
there blood on
Jubilee
this
was
wall?
missing like. There was missing like at least 3, maybe 4 scares in the Fairy
I
Jubilee.
want to say 3 altogether.
Yeah, it was missing like so many scares where it would feel like the Nightingale nest from Blood.
Yeah, that last.
Where there was
like,
like
the last
6
room,
different scares in one room.
Ooh, that room was intense.
That's what that would feel like to me if it had all the scares. But unfortunately, they couldn't include all of them because restrictions. But anyway. I'm going to switch over to Brides, talk about a little bit of Brides, just to give them a little bit of love, because I've been pretty much riding the Tooth Fairy train. Yeah, riding them teeth. But Brides was fantastic. The cast was phenomenal. All of the brides, like all the Bride of Frankensteins, all the cast for that, great. The her assistant was probably the best character in that entire house.
Igor.
You mustn't disturb the master.
Be gone. Yeah.
Like the freaking the Marilyn Manson. Scott, you remember when I told you that?
Yes.
So the Bride of Dracula that's in the stocks
Oh.
that has the
cover?
like the cover over the eyes. I'm like, huh? That kind of looks like Marilyn Manson. Hey Scott, look. But I got a kick out of that. That was good. But like I said in my last video when I did the Beetlejuice day and did my last run throughs,
Check those videos out.
Check that video out. But I had such a bad but good run through of Bride at the very end. It was such a slow run through, but it gave me so much like time to like sit in each individual room and look around and see all the sets and like really see all the detail that they put into it and be like, wow, had this not been a terrible run through, I wouldn't have been able to see like that and that I've been missing this entire event. That really like was like, wow, that's such a minute detail that people wouldn't notice. But
was I the only one who thought that the last scene was ended tremendously by plexiglass?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's still a good scare. It's still a really good scare.
Yeah.
No. I'm talking about the big scene at the end when she has Frankenstein on the table.
There was barely any plexiglass.
There's no plexiglass there almost.
No, look.
Oh, you mean the gate?
Yes.
I feel like that gate.
I think that was going to be there anyways.
I think
the gate was going to be there, but the whole the plexiglass sheet wasn't going to be there.
I think the glass was going to be there regardless.
You think so?
Mhm.
I don't think it was going to be there. If COVID wasn't a thing, I don't think it was going to be
there. It's to avoid people from running onto like things like that.
I would also like to point out that I think the statues of the Dracula's brides, like at least one of them wouldn't have been there, and it would have been an actual actor that was like up above.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say like on the top left, right? Like right when you walk in.
Yeah, top left when you walk in. Yeah, I think they would have reached a hand down and swiped.
I'm pretty sure she would have been on like a bungee, kind of like how they had in I was gonna talk about that in Carnival Graveyard, how they had the clown that would like drop down.
Mm-hmm.
That exact kind of scare, but with the bride. That's what I think was supposed to be.
That or like a zip line across that little gap.
So like a petrified forest?
Yes.
Yeah,
just to
shameless
jump
plug.
across. But anyways, I feel like there were a few scares that weren't in there that I expect if it comes back to be there. But I mean, all together, we couldn't have had like We could have lived in a world where these houses didn't exist this year.
I would pick
We're-
these houses out of the whole lineup for HHN Light. Like, I wouldn't go on to say, if like I was able to pick 2 houses, I wouldn't be like, I want the Icon's house. Like, I'd say save that for
These two. Yeah, I'd agree with these
Yeah,
two.
these two made the most sense. Well, maybe they made the most sense to give us this year, but maybe Puppet Theater, giving us Puppet Theater.
It could.
But it would have made. But the only reason
think
it made sense is because of the locations.
And Tribute
Yeah.
Store and IP and original. I don't think they do 2 originals, even if it was locations.
I mean,
Those were 2 originals.
no.
technically
I
Universal
always
Monsters is an
consider
original.
Universal Monsters IP. I always consider it IP
it's
because they
an
formed
original
this kind of
IP.
brand.
It's
There
an
you go.
original IP.
Perfect.
It's an original IP.
All right.
But-
Now to get to the guy who has one completely different opinion.
Can I talk my smack now?
Yes, you can talk.
Sure,
about
go
it.
All
for
right,
it.
all right.
Yeah, go.
First off, I'm going to talk about the fact that I love Tooth Fairy. And I love the brides. I just want to talk about how if COVID wasn't a thing, like Michael was saying, that last room in Tooth Fairy was missing a lot of things. The one thing it was missing that both of you failed to talk about was the fact that we're supposed to have a weather effect in there. Whether it have been... Did you not notice the changing ground when you walk in there?
No.
I think you only talked about this one. It was the first day when Michael wasn't there.
Okay.
No.
So-
don't remember that.
On the flooring, when you walk in, there's the round rug. The rugs that are like... They're hard rubber. And it's so that if water falls onto it, it doesn't make a sleek or slippery floor. That's the flooring
Yeah,
they
when you
had
first
in the
walk
fairy.
in.
It goes all the way through the back, like all the way through.
See, I noticed it the first step that you take in there, and I don't think I noticed it throughout the rest of it because
So I'm
it
guessing
just
there was
stayed the
supposed to
same.
be either A, a water effect coming from the tooth fairies, or B, a rain effect because you're in like a tight cavern.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And go on.
What?
I thought you were gonna go. Oh, I thought you were saying.
Oh, I
something.
mean,
Yeah.
it would make sense because then it would make sense because I don't see a reason for this house to be in a soundstage. So they had to have been a reason why it's in a soundstage. They had to have affected weather or something somehow in this house that we just didn't get. Because it didn't make sense why this house was in a soundstage. It wasn't a grand enough house to need to be in a soundstage.
Yeah, that's true. And let's continue talking about the dentist drill, which was the creepiest thing in this house. Period. That
Oh god!
That-
If you guys walked through Knott's, that shit was like on the whole.
I hate that
time.
sound with
scared-
a passion.
That scared Abby, and there was no one even there.
Yo, I turned the corner the first time I went through it. I went through with Connor, and I was just like, ah.
Yeah, it's
I did not like
it's
it.
terrifying.
And overall, I feel like it was a solid house. However, I feel like Brides was better because I'm someone that likes both scenic things and scares. And when it comes to Tooth Fairy, I know, you're beautiful, so there you go. That's for you. So, when it came to Tooth Fairy, right, we had the book, the story being told. Of course, that was nice. I loved being able to continue the story from Monsters last year, but not really. How they had Frankenstein dead, which kind of makes no sense because the doctor was dead last year. But the monster died because the castle got collapsed. Like if you look right, you see, like right when you walk in, you know how they have the 3 little slit holes. You see the castle falling apart. So it's basically you see Frankenstein die. He's dead, and it's basically her going through all these not harvest victims, but victims that live in the city. She's getting them and trying to get pieces to make her husband again. And then also attempt to take blood from Dracula. Blah, blah, blah. And this house scenically, if it didn't have plexiglass, I feel like this falls for both. The scares would stand out so much more.
Yeah, and I do want to say this, and I've said this in many videos, is shout out to the scare actors because you guys really brought it to life.
They did a great job this year.
And I still got scared plenty of times in the houses, even with plexiglass.
And if we want to continue, like, if COVID wasn't a thing, right when you get past of the room with the Marilyn Manson Dracula's bride.
Well, I know exactly what you're about to say because I was about to point it out. Yeah, continue.
You know how on your right there's like a curtain there, like right away.
Yes.
That curtain's not supposed to be there. That curtain's not supposed to be there at all.
You know what I hate about the plexiglass in that house too, when she opens up the gate.
That's what I thought you were gonna point out.
Yeah. When you can see it there, it's like
Yeah, because there was really no reason to open
it. She kind of
just
she like sticks her hand under it to try to scare you sometimes too. And I'm just like.
Okay, but what about right after that, the zipline scare?
Thank you.
The bungee.
That's where I was getting.
Scare,
That bungee scare. That bungee scare alone.
See, that put my consideration very high in like which house was better. Was that scare?
That bungee scare was like if you turn the corner with those two brides right away and you see that bungee coming dead at you, that shit's intense.
Mm-hmm.
Like solid work. And then if you want to talk about theming in a house, when you walk into the catacombs, not the catacombs, but like where they have Dracula's tomb.
Yeah.
If you notice on the wall behind you, there's two plaques that say Vlad and Vladimir, meaning you're walking into Vlad the Impaler's tomb. Little
yes,
details.
I remember seeing that because that was when I had the slow walkthrough. I looked behind, I was like, huh.
Yeah, little details that if you don't look around, you don't notice.
Yep.
Which goes back to being scenic. And then before you get to that tomb, you have that amazing scare in the casket that Scott talked about when in your video about the brides, where it was like, one of them was real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that scare was possibly a great, like, even without plexiglass, I think that still would have been a plexiglass scare. I think it still would have been a plexiglass scare.
I don't know. I don't think it would have been plexiglass, but I think for sure there would have been something covering it to set the illusion of there's like that there's still a statue in there instead of an actual scare actor.
Yeah.
That one got me the best out of that whole house.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this though. I will say Brides, since it was super dark in there, it did help out a lot with the scares. Yeah. Which I really enjoyed.
Yeah, I remember telling you guys that like the last day when I went through it, for some odd reason, it was really bright. It was it was oddly bright.
It was bright in there like last night.
Yeah. Like the first room when you first get under the
her lifting the plank.
That room had like 4 or 5 different like new lights that were in it that really like made it pop. And like the first scene with the bride like in front of you, the bride of Frankenstein right in front of you. I don't know what like I noticed more like I think there was something different about that scene. I don't know.
You know what I question going through this house is because this was rumored for Hollywood too. How would the storyline work out? Because in Frankenstein meets a Wolfman, she's getting chopped up or getting put back together and burnt.
But then again, the year before, wasn't she burnt?
No, the year before.
No, she was chopped up. She was chopped up the year before.
But I think Dr. Frankenstein was trying to put her back together.
Maybe they were trying to like.
I don't know how the storyline would work out.
I don't know.
But I will also say this: that house with the soundtrack behind it would have been phenomenal. I wish that there was some type of soundtrack. Obviously, with HHN Light, I'm sure they weren't going to do that. But I think that a soundtrack, I guess that's just me with my Hollywood thoughts speaking. I think with a soundtrack, that house would have been incredible.
Orlando will never get a cool / soundtrack for their Universal Monsters houses.
It's okay, man. Billie Eilish.
No.
But do you guys think that these two houses will return to Halloween Horror Nights 30?
Depends on COVID.
Yep. Depends on, the precautions that they have to take.
Well, see, this is like what Losh and I were talking about, like in our hotel room, when we were sleeping together. Well, what we were talking about is, Michael could have joined, but he decided he had schoolwork, so whatever. Is that the fact that they released both trailers, or not trailers, both walkthroughs, hints at them not bringing them back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that Tooth Fairy won't return, but I think the Bride will.
I don't think I honestly don't think either of them are going to come back. That's just being honest.
No, see, I think the same as you. I'm just saying if one were to
However, from what I've heard from a couple of friends, I'm not going to name any names, the 2 soundstage houses are still standing to this day. Today being November 9th, 8th. It's, you know what I mean. It's 2 a.m. But they're still standing right now. Exactly where they were. Intact.
My thought process is, if I can't get the one I want, I don't want either of them to come back. So if Tooth Fairy doesn't come back, I don't want either of them to come back.
That's
pretty much how it goes.
Real quick,
they're just gonna book your place with Beetlejuice houses. We're gonna have 3 Beetlejuice houses. One's dedicated to Shake Senora, the other one's dedicated to Deo, and then the last one's dedicated to the entire
2
movie.
good Beetlejuice houses and 1 subpar one.
3 Beetlejuice houses. There you go.
I told you.
I'm still upset that the staircase scene isn't in there.
Okay.
Oh, I forgot to mention
the football player was at least in there.
I think that's supposed to be at the end. I'm not kidding. I think that's supposed to be at the end. Like,
the football player was at least there, so I'm okay with it.
Look. I lost you weren't in the call when me and Michael were talking about this, but I forgot to mention this when we were on the Beetlejuice topic. All right, how come there's people who really like the sandworm scene, right? They love the sandworm scene, but those same people shit on our Clownzilla puppet in Hollywood.
Listen, I can't say shit because I didn't like the sandworm.
I just want to say to you people, rethink your opinions, because there's tons of people. I'm talking to you, Michael. I'm talking to you. All right.
Hey, it's okay. We had both a giant.
Wait, wasn't your Clownzilla just a head?
It was the
same. We had that one as well.
Pause.
We had that one as well.
That's what I'm saying. Your Clownzilla was just a head, right?
But didn't you guys had the giant Clownzilla though?
Yeah, we had both. Clownzilla and the Clownzilla head.
Yeah.
All right, but look, that was our finale scene that everyone was just talking crap on.
They added the Clownzilla head like the second week.
Look, I will yes, obviously the production quality is way better in Orlando, right? But I don't care what anyone says. There's still a special heart to me in Hollywood, and those who have been longtime Hollywood fans, you know this. You gotta come. You gotta come to Hollywood.
I'll go over there.
You gotta come just to experience it. If you don't like it, don't ever come back. You know, it's fine.
I'm gonna go back because you're there.
You have to come over.
I have money. I'll go.
Okay. You and Adrian need to take the same trip.
Hopefully in 2 years.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's gonna happen next year.
Exactly.
That's why I'm saying hopefully in 2 years.
Maybe
in 2050.
It might come back. I mean, let's think about it this way. If it doesn't happen next year, I fully expect John Murdy not to come back, which means it probably wouldn't happen for another 2, maybe 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Not Monjourney.
If John Murdy doesn't come back, the event is screwed until they find someone good.
Give the event to Chris Williams.
I don't care what anyone says about Murdy. That man is smart, and he has to run the whole event.
That's what I'm saying. If that doesn't happen next year, I don't expect him to come back, which means it probably won't happen for the next 2, 3, 4 years.
They'll come back with a big grand year because we know Hollywood's willing to take those breaks as they did with 2000 to 2006.
I'll take that trip over there if there's a big event. If they if in the commercial the first thing they say is no black walls, I'll be like, oh my god!
If COVID wasn't a thing, the event this year would have been one of the best events.
It would have been a really good event, no joke, on both coasts.
It would have been even to 2016, and I praise 2016 so much. So
we love TCM.
I don't know, guys. It felt back to get back here and film HNU, but honestly, filming HNU kind of sucks because that means I'm not with you guys in Florida.
It's here.
So sad. Let me tell you guys, these two. Shout out to these two guys because they're some real homies. Us all hanging out. I miss it so much. I look back on our Snap stories and everything.
That was
I
miss
it. Just smile and wave, boys.
I hate how I'm 2,000 miles away from you guys.
No, I think the funniest thing has to be just watching Scott sleep, just staring at him when he sleeps. It's funny. No.
I think that the worst thing about being with Adrian is the fact that he turns the AC on to 60 degrees at night.
Yo, it's
Yes.
okay. Yo, hold on.
I cannot sleep in when it's hot.
When
I
it's
have to
hot, I
have-
can't sleep. I'm a
Exactly.
fat guy. If you guys ever see me, I'm fat.
Adrian can testify to this. I was bundled up every morning.
Yo, this
like,
man was over here
because
fucking.
you're freaking.
He looked like he was shivering some nights.
You're 150 pounds shaking,
No
soaking
joke.
wet.
So I was sleeping right next to like where the AC unit was. Whenever this man crashed, I just doop doop doop.
Yes, I knew it too. I didn't like the first night I tried to fix it. After that, I was like, Adrian's just gonna change it when I fall asleep. So
Yeah, I keep my apartment as cold as it possibly can
Yo,
get
When
I
I
sleep.
slept in your apartment, I slept like a baby, bro. I was like, this
It's
is a
cold
great...
as hell in this apartment.
I was like, ooh. I was like, this couch is kind of rough, but you know, it's cold in here.
this one from
Hey, I
HHN,
gave
this
you-
one to
I
a
gave
Hornets
you-
a Hornets podcast to a Day in the Life podcast.
I gave you the option for the 5-hour air mattress.
I was okay. I could have taken it because we got up at like 4 in the morning for the
Yep.
first day of HHN Light. Let's get back to Hornets. Let's get back to Hornets, guys. Come on.
What are
we going on now? Where we
guys,
going?
that was episode what 22?
Oh, that's it? That's it.
Closer.
I love you
I
guys.
think that was a good comeback episode. I know you guys. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed it. Because I enjoyed
scared.
filming this one.
I'm so scared.
I'm so scared.
I'm so scared.
I'm scared. I'm so scared.
My name is Scott from SoCal Exploring,
I'm Michael from Hallowed Thrills.
I'm Adrian from LoshTV.
and we have been Hornets Unscripted. We really hope you guys enjoyed this episode because it took a sacrifice from all of us. You know, even though it's only 11 over here and I'm complaining, and it's 2 o'clock
It's
in the
2
morning
a.m.
over there. Yeah, got some good collabs coming soon if people don't flake on us anymore. So got some big collabs coming soon, and then we're also planning some collabs with other podcasters soon as well. So all that and more on Hornets Unscripted. And yeah, guys, any last minute thoughts from you guys?
I just want to say I enjoyed spending time with you guys. It was a lot of fun. I can't wait to do it more in the future. This was
Whenever
fun.
I
Wait
decide to
for
move to Florida.
HHN to actually happen so we can chill at an actual event.
Eat pizza fries at Kid Zone.
Eat pizza fries so I can
Yes.
still talk crap on them.
Get some twisted glizzies.
Some twisted guzzle down some
glizzy
glizzies
taters.
together.
Some glizzy taters.
Go back to the Starcourt Mall.
Starcourt Mall, Imperial Panda. They gotta get that bento box.
Nah, man, you gotta get the street corn.
Well, we've
You
been
mean the
Hornets
street corn
Unscripted, guys. We hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Like I said before, maybe we have to film an episode where we just do like
Our
random-
live.
Not
Just whatever
live
we
too.
talk about.
Yeah,
Oh,
sure.
we should just do a live episode. I'm pretty sure people will like that. If you guys made it this far, comment down below if you want a live episode.
Yeah, we'll do that
I-
probably for like one of our.
I
like,
would be
30th
surprised if
episode.
anybody comments that.
I don't
but
think. Okay, how about
but
this?
good
if you
on
make,
you.
If you make it to the end of this, DM me something and I'll post it on my story.
There you
Bet.
go.
DM it to the Hornets Unscripted Instagram.
Stay hollowed, stay spooky, keep exploring, and
Dudes.
peace out, everybody.
You guys next time.
That's pretty good. See you guys later.